Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Rasslin Report. And here's your host, Rated R for Wrestling and Jonesy Chats Wrestling.
Welcome back to the Rasslin Report. I am joined, as per usual, with my guy Jonesy from Jonesy Chats Wrestling. What's going on, Jonesy? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to give a special shout out to Charlie Haas. Unfortunately, there has been news in the last 24 hours that Charlie Haas is missing at the moment. So my thoughts are with him and his family and friends. I hope he's all right.
Oh, wow. So that's crazy news. So Charlie Haas, obviously, remember him from WWE days as part of Team Angle along with Shelton Benjamin. He's missing currently, as you said, Jonesy.
He didn't turn up to his shows that was put this weekend. I think in Australia for some reason. He was in Australia and he's not turned up to the shows as far as I understand.
Let's hope it's just like maybe some traveling issues or something simple like that. Nothing dire. So yeah, thoughts out with him and his family. Hopefully he's good, and hopefully we'll hear some good news about him coming back, being found, and turning up. So what did you think about the week in professional wrestling, Josie?
Yeah, it's been a really good week, especially WWE. These recent weeks are getting more and more exciting. It feels very, very much like 98, 99 at the moment. Everything every week is, I can't believe we've gone a full transition this last year from where AEW was the hot property everyone wanted to see to WWE. We're just really lucky. We're blessed this time in wrestling to have such a good product, and it's only getting better. We're not even in WrestleMania season yet, and the level of product every single week at the moment feels like it's on the road to WrestleMania for me.
Yeah, we're going into Survivor Series, one of the big 4 pay-per-views, and it feels coming off the heels of a SummerSlam that felt, not pretty lackluster, especially with the repeat of Reigns and Lesnar going into the Survivor Series, along with the tag of War Games Survivor Series, sounding like, one of the big 4 pay-per-views might be in store for a good one. We might be in store for a good one when it comes to a big 4 pay-per-view. So heading in to this November and then going into the Rumble and then heading into the road to WrestleMania, I'm excited. I am really excited about what WWE has in store for us going forward. They've really picked up the pace, and everything on TV has been showing up pretty well. I do like the moves they've been making, the people that they're bringing back. I don't want them to bring back 1,000,001 people that people get lost in the shuffle, but I do enjoy what they've been getting into. So what we're going to cover today in this edition of the Rasslin Report is obviously Bray Wyatt, but we're going to leave Bray Wyatt to the end of the show. The other stuff we're going to cover is the return of Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins becoming new US champion, the return of the OC. We're going to have an update on Charlotte Flair. WWE is looking to sign some new talent, some issues with the finish at Extreme Rules in a certain match, update on the Jon Moxley contract, is MJF turning babyface, and then we'll finish it off with Bray Wyatt. News, speculation, and where that could lead and stuff that we're hearing about Bray Wyatt and maybe a faction he has in store for us. So without further ado, let's jump to the first topic. Brock returns. Now, normally we've seen Brock return over the past few seeming like 2 years or so, it's always to face Roman Reigns. But this time was different. He shows up to face Bobby Lashley, starting a feud with them, and I assume this would all lead to Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I was a massive fan of this. I think they did a great job of keeping it secret. I think the way he came in was brutal, looked really, really good. And yeah, leading to Crown Jewel, dream match is going to happen. We've seen it obviously before, but it's great to see it again. My only sort of slight concern was when you see Bobby getting dropped on the same shoulder he got injured was a bit worrying, but yeah. I think it's going to be a fantastic match. This was the right move to do, particularly with obviously Bray Wyatt going to Smackdown. They want to give Raw something. I think Brock coming in was a great move. No one saw it, and it felt huge, to be honest. And it really meant when Bobby did lose the United States title, there's real room there for him to blame the fans and do that heel turn that we said was building. He can now blame the fans. He said the fans were behind him because the reaction when Seth won the belt this past week was huge. Like literally, the fans were cheering like he was a babyface. But back to sort of what you said about Brock. It's great to see him back here. I'm interested to see what they do with the finish and who's going to win. I really would love to see Bobby win, but part of me thinks Brock's not coming in to lose, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's coming in to lose unless it's his choice, which he may, be the savvy veteran and realize that maybe Bobby Lashley needs to win more than Brock Lesnar does. We could see that, but the babyface turn, the heel turn from Bobby Lashley I think is warranted at this time. And people are going to cheer more Brock for his return and him coming back because people love the return, the pop and everything like that. And you saw with Seth winning, he gets, the babyface reaction, the reaction you're not really supposed to get because he's a, dirty heel. But, in modern day pro wrestling, the reactions aren't, exactly line up where they should line up. He's back, and it's exciting to see him against somebody different. And you know, there's always a feud that we always wanted to see. We saw a little bit of it, but we always wanted to see it more fleshed out. Will this be a recurring feud, meaning we'll get it for 2-month program, something like that, or is it just Crown Jewel and that's the end of it?
I think it's just crown jewel. I think it's something for the Saudi Prince, obviously, to get the pay-per-view over as such. It feels a huge match. For me, I'm glad we're seeing it again, though. The last match we didn't really get much of the last time they met. It was quite hard hitting, and this
Yep.
time they might have a decent amount of level. Bobby's not going in injured this time, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I just think if they're sensible, give Bobby Lashley the win. Bobby Lashley's there all year round. Brock is there when he comes in. Brock losing to Bobby doesn't do any harm at this point.
It'll be nice to see him win in a heel fashion, maybe cheating
Yeah.
to win or doing something dastardly, and obviously completing the heel turn there with Bobby Lashley. He gets the win that way, and then you can run it back, but I doubt they will. Maybe they set it up for Survivor Series if they're not going to do full brand versus brand stuff. Now, interesting, you brought up, Bray Wyatt. We got the answer last week. I posed the answer: is he a Raw superstar or a SmackDown superstar? Or does it even matter? Seemingly, he gets SmackDown because Brock is now going to be on Raw, so you want to spread out your talent in that fashion. And maybe Fox requested that, Bray Wyatt be on their show and not USA.
Yeah, maybe. I think the thing with it for me, I think it would have been better for him to be on Raw. There's a lot more hours on Raw to fill.
Yes.
But I think he could go on both shows potentially in the build up to Survivor Series. It wouldn't surprise me, but provisionally at the moment he's SmackDown only, which but then there's nothing stopping him doing vignettes on Raw if they have to, or flashbacks or whatever they want to do from last week, for example.
Exactly, because it's good to keep the guy relevant through the week, right? So if you see him only on Fridays, that lag time between the weekend and leading up to the next Friday, you want people to still be invested. So maybe you can run packages, like you said, of Bray Wyatt during Monday Night Raw to keep him fresh, keep him alive, and keep him there. Because if not, you run the risk of people kind of forgetting. And nowadays with the short attention span audience now, you to run that risk if you do not continuously remind everybody that this guy's here. Remember to tune into Friday Night SmackDown and see what he's gonna get into. Noob & Co is in the chat. Noob & Co, good morning. We're doing great. How are you, Noob & Co? Thank you for joining us as per usual for the Rasslin Report. We're back again with episode 21 of the Rasslin Report. And our first topic is Brock returns. Brock Lesnar, we all love him. He's Brock Lesnar. He's an absolute legend. I think he's the best selling wrestler of all time. I mean, the guy sells like nobody else. Guys who win an Oscar in each and every match that he has with his ability to sell in the ring. But Brock Lashley, crown jewel. Hopefully it's not a one-off. Seems like it will be, most likely. But, Brock is always that break in case of emergency talent that they have, and that's what we're getting here. He's coming in. I'm assuming the Saudi Prince asked for him, requested him specifically. We need Brock on the Crown Jewel show, and, they obliged, and he will be there, probably taking on Bobby Lashley. But in return with this, Brock takes out Lashley, and this causes Seth to become the US champion and gets cheered massively. He's super over as a heel. People like to see him more as a heel than a babyface. Now he gets babyface reactions as a heel, which is kind of the inverse, but it is what it is. Nobody gets the reaction they should nowadays. But Seth is now the US champion, and he's a 2-time Grand Slam champion, which is he's joining Miz in that group.
Yeah, I think it's a really sensible choice. As we predicted last week, it was the right call. Bobby's had the belt for ages. Seth needed this coming off his loss to Riddle. He will bring a certain amount of class to the belt. Bobby's done a really good job there with the belt anyway.
Yep.
I'm just looking forward to see what they do with this. I think Seth United States title, the way he won it was a bit dastardly, but the reaction from the crowd, it was just hilarious, really. The crowd should have been booing him. They were cheering it. And let's just see where Seth goes next. I'm interested to see where he's going to probably go if he does have a title match at the pay-per-view. Like, I don't know if they're going to do Riddle again. For me, I think they should drop the Riddle thing. It's been done. Seth versus somebody else would be something nice to see, really.
Yeah, it's time to move Seth and Riddle on. The fight pitch should be the culmination of the feud and the end of it, and they should stay away from each other for a while, unless you're gonna do War Games, them versus them, and they're on opposite teams. Really, the only way you should really the only reason you should revisit that going forward, it should be the end of it. Like, these matches have to be blow-off matches and end feud matches. They can't just be placeholders, because then the match loses its mystique. The steel cage match was always the match that ended a feud, because you guys locked in the cage, and only one guy comes out, and that's how you end the feud. Same thing with the fight pit, same thing with the Hell in a Cell, same thing with the ladder match. These gimmicky matches need to be end-all be-all matches for a feud, because if not, the mystique is completely gone from the match itself, and the stakes are gone as well. So hopefully him being US champ, he goes on to something different, has different feuds. I would like him to see him to do a little bit more dastardly things, maybe try to get a boo reaction from somebody rather than being cheered, because again, the heel coming in, getting cheered that much, I think is going to hurt any babyface he ends up facing. because they don't want to see the babyface beat him. So maybe you could do something to kind of switch that around a little bit.
Yeah, maybe it might have just been an alien crowd, so to speak. It may just be a one-off, that crowd, ultimately, because there was a title changes, mainly the main reason why they popped. But yeah, I agree. Like his best work is when he's Dastly and when he's shooting home truths at the other wrestlers. That's when he's best on the mic. Like that's going to be how you get that ante up. But it just depends what they want to do. For me, I still think in the back of my mind, Cody and Seth isn't done. So Cody and Seth could happen at some point, but they shouldn't be doing this United States title. So I think Seth just needs a filler feud till then, really.
A little tidbit. I think I heard that Cody may be ready for for day one pay-per-view, the New Year's Day pay-per-view that WWE's doing now. So he could be ready for that. If I was them, I'd hold him to the Royal Rumble, have the surprise pop, but he has to win it at that point. So if you're not gonna have him win, then I understand why you would bring him back a little bit earlier. Nubico in the chat says Brock in an untitled feud will be fun. Imagine bringing a tractor to Saudi. He could go the tractor thing again. That'll be interesting to see. I kind of want them because it feels like it's kind of like, I mean, you have these two matches on this card, right? You have Omos and Braun Strowman, giant monster versus giant monster kind of battle, the kaijus. So you could have went that same road with Brock and Bobby Lashley, right? Because they're two massive guys, two, physical specimens. You really can't go that route because you have that other match on the card already that's very similar in that aspect. So you're kind of pigeonholed into what you can do and what you can't. So maybe they bring in, a little bit of extracurricular stuff like a tractor or like something, you'd find in the Middle East that they can use to implement into the match.
That'd be good. It was something different. It will make it unique. Never know. Maybe one of them throws sand in each other's eyes. I don't know. That's pretty basic, to be honest. But yeah, I'd like to see that. I think it'll be just good. I think the fact that we haven't got a special guest referee, I'm surprised. I would have thought this would be a point where I know you've had Daniel Cormier last month, where you bring somebody similar in to try and control them too. But maybe that's something they'll do down the line potentially.
Yeah, it has to be somebody that has that
menacing. Impact,
well, not even that obviously that fits that because you have two massive guys that are huge, legitimate fighters, right? Both of them MMA guys, so you have to have somebody who's a legitimate person in terms of combat fighting, but has to be somebody that kind of transcends into that market too, right? Because they may not be super into it. I know they had Fight Island somewhere in the Middle East with the UFC, so maybe they could have somebody like that too as well happen. Eric, good morning, Eric. Eric is a very sleepy man, and he is with us again for the Rasslin Report as we're talking about Seth becoming the United States champion, becoming the only two-time Grand Slam champion, joining The Miz in that category. Still sounds kind of funny saying those two names together in that category, but he's the US champ. Hopefully they can move his storylines around, that he gets something fresh and he's able to be a heel. The problem is, this is the issue with Seth Rollins. He's a heel, but he has a song that everybody likes to sing along to. And I think that's not a good thing, right? You want fan interaction, but you want it more with a baby face rather than a heel because it helps your baby face get over. If you do it with a heel, the heel can do so many things to get over because everybody likes to be a bad guy. Everybody likes the bad guy at times, right? You can get more of a reaction as a bad guy. But if you have a song that's catchy, people sing along with it, and you play into that, you're not going to get booed. You're not going to get booed no matter who you face, right? No matter who you face, you're not going to get booed. You can get a match where both guys are cheered or the heel's getting cheered and the babyface is getting booed. I think they got to find a way to have Seth become just evil. He has to be evil for maybe, to get that reaction you want to get because now he's the US champ.
I agree. Maybe it's cheap shots he takes. Maybe this is the other team's football team or basketball team or something like that. That's a cheap pop way to do it. But let's just see what becomes of it. But I think crucially, it was the right move. I think we had to get a new champion, and this was the right move. I get that obviously he lost to Riddle, but they painted that feud off perfectly by ending it, and this was a great transition for Seth to get the belt. Seth with the belt he's a step up from Bobby, I think. And he's a lot better in the ring. Bobby's not bad by all means, but Seth is a fantastic worker, one of the best workers in WWE. So I'm happy with that transition. Really.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit stale with Bobby Lashley. They had him.
They should have probably put it to Kevin Owens like we thought. Like I thought originally back in September, Kevin Owens and Bobby would have been a match. They did it at Clash of the Castle, and then that would have been a good spot. But maybe they'll do Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins because Kevin Owens has gone a bit quiet in the last few weeks, it seems.
He has, yeah. It was seeming like you were going down that road. And maybe they may have a reverted course. Maybe they were planning on doing Sammy and Kevin earlier, but then they just didn't want to break up the bloodline yet because Sammy's so over in the bloodline and Jey Uso's doing, great work as the hater in the group. There's a lot of stuff there. They could be just, changing things on the fly there. But Seth is your US champ. We'll see what goes forward. We'll see what happens with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. Will Bobby Lashley become a heel full blown? Will Seth change up, a little bit the character, maybe do some dastardly things? But this also leads to another thing that happened on Monday Night Raw. While it seemed that AJ Styles was hugging, and he was joining the Judgment Day, hugging Finn Balor. We had a returning group that, as Jonesy called this last week, I don't think he said on the show, but I believe he messaged me a DM that these two guys were coming back. Gallows and Anderson, the OC, is back in WWE after getting released a few years back unceremoniously, and causing a rift between AJ Styles and Paul Heyman, allowing AJ Styles to kind of flip brands and try to stay away from Paul Heyman as best as possible. But now they're back, the OC is back, and now the Judgment Day have a new team to feud with, a new trio, and the numbers line up, 3-3. This, I'm a huge Gallows and Anderson fan. I love those guys. I think they're hilarious. I think they're very entertaining. Them with AJ is a lot of fun if done correctly. And I'm really interested to see how Triple H treat these two as a tag team, because we saw in their first iteration how they were just, directionless.
Yeah, fair point. I think it's a great signing. Like, I was surprised to see it. It moved quick. And for me, yeah, really, really sensible. You want to add to your tag team division. WWE's tag team division is the strongest. So, and the fact you built up the Judgment Day so well in recent weeks, this was a great move. The only thing that this is lacking at the moment is we need a female on the OC side. So that we need to get somebody over, whether that's Raquel Gonzalez or somebody there to try and go against Rhea Ripley, really, I think, because I'm really enjoying this work. And I think this was just done marvelously the way they've done this. I think you really combine into it. And I really think that it's just where they go with this. I'm not too sure how even it is in the ring, if that makes sense. I think Judgment Day is slightly outnumbered a little bit, like from an in-ring physical presence. But I'm just enjoying it. I think it was a great signing. I'm surprised that AEW didn't do more to get Gallows and Anderson. I know that Gallows and Anderson were very big in New Japan. One of them is a champion at the moment. So apparently they're going to go back to Japan.
Yeah, what's the deal with Carl Anderson? He's the open weight, never open weight champion right now currently. So is he going back just to drop that title quickly, or what's the story with that? You know anything about it?
Yeah. So he's going back on the 5th of November in Osaka, And he's facing somebody called Hikaru to drop the belt. They got some sort of courtesy they're going to do. But it's really interesting to see Gallows Anderson back, particularly Gallows. Gallows said that he would never, ever go back to WWE, or Anderson, one of them said they'll never, ever go back to WWE in a million years again. But it's amazing what money does.
Carl Anderson said that one, yeah.
But I think it's sensible. Let's just see where they go with this. I don't know if they come into some sort of War Games match because of this, but I'm just hoping that this continues. I really hope that this does lead ultimately back to Rhea Ripley getting in the ring in some capacity. I think she's been great on the outside, and we need to see her back in the ring. And let's get somebody that's her equal. That's the problem. There isn't a lot of women out there that could be her equal. The only one for me that can do it is Raquel. Raquel's been built up like $1 million. She's a babyface. All this other, they need babyface if the OCs are going to be babyface, which is what they are, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation that they're in because, like, you had everything that happened at, Extreme Rules with Beth Phoenix and Edge. So where does that fall? When is Edge going to make his return to get his comeuppance? To give Judgment Day their comeuppance for that, or is that just a drop thing? Gallows and Anderson and the OC. Because it's Judgment Day's feuding with like 3 different people at the same time, right?
It's crazy.
They're feuding with Ray, they're feuding with Edge, and that feels completely separate from each other, to be honest, right? They don't really feel like Ray and Edge are really like a team to go against these guys. They feel like, it doesn't really feel that way. They help each other out every once in a while, but it doesn't feel that way. And then AJ Styles is kind of like the forgotten man. They were feuding with them, so they never really put them 3 as a team to take on the Judgment Day. So now they're bringing the Gallows and Anderson to take on Judgment Day. It's a bit odd, but they're in dire need of tag teams. So even if the trio doesn't really work out that well against Judgment Day, at least they have another tag team to play around with. And Carl Anderson said he was never going to return because of the way they treated him, and they didn't use him correctly. They didn't use Gallows and Anderson correctly. But I think with Triple H at the helm is the reason why they came back, obviously, and the money, right? They probably gave him really good money. They gave him good money the first time around, probably a little bit more or maybe less now. But I never understood why AEW never, grabbed them up when they were doing the TNA partnership thing. I know they were contracted TNA Superstars, but I'm assuming that ran out and they could have went to AEW because it would have made more sense because all their homies are there. So that would have made more sense. And the first go around in WWE wasn't that good, but I guess Triple H and the money all talk.
Definitely. I think like AEW's become undesirable, maybe because all the backstage politics every single week, but it's crazy really when you look at what's going on. But I'm just interested to see what happens. Obviously, Nick Khan did such a job of firing everybody. Now they're all back. I know some of them are back on less wages, but what was the point of it? You know what I mean? I think Triple H has done a fantastic job to get these people back. But what I said to SCW, that's another fantastic channel in the week, was the minute these returns stop, this is going to be the real acid test, really. WWE have been fantastic so far. When we stop these returns every single week, like we're going to have to really see the storylines be as good as they have been with like the Rey Mysterio, Dominic Finn to that level across all boards, if that makes sense, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that was the plan all along, maybe from Nick Khan, right? You know, I get rid of these
It's
guys
crazy.
and then I bring
It's a
them back.
risky
You know, if you
strategy,
bring
though.
them back,
Tony
they're
Khan, Tony
cheaper.
Khan
Yeah.
had his shit together. He could have got a load signed. Like,
Yes.
but it's just interesting. But back to Gallows now. So I think it's just a really, really smart move. I think, in fact, you've boosted your tag team division, as you said, which is good. This creates a great feud for the sort of the Judgment Day, which is good to see. And you've also got Edge and Beth Phoenix at any point, which obviously could be payoff at some point. If they are going to do that feud, definitely need to probably do it quite soon before that momentum kind of goes. But they're going to sell an injury for a while, so maybe that'd be something they can do. It. I don't know if there is a TLC this year. Is there a TLC this year, or is it just day one? I believe.
I think it's just day one. I don't think there's a TLC.
Oh, okay. So maybe it'll have to be Survivor Series if they do that.
Maybe, yeah. Tino's in the chat. Good morning, Tino. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us, brother. Make sure you check out Tino's stream. He's gonna be streaming, live streaming and watching all the NFL games today on Sunday. So make sure you check his channel out and join him for the NFL games if you're an NFL fan. Eric, well, Edge is doing acting stuff right now. Yes, he's gonna be joining Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Disney Plus, I think, he's gonna co-star that. So shout out to Edge for getting a big gig like that on Disney Plus for a show, probably a big budget show. Edge is doing acting stuff now. Mysterio just joined SmackDown to avoid Dominic. Yeah, he was, requested to be, which I think is a funny storyline. He's like, let me go to the other brand, but even the brand split doesn't really exist that much anymore. I think it's just it's kind of funny in that thing. He says to avoid Dom and Judgment Day for now, opening the door for the OC to feud. Yeah, so I mean, how does that hurt the OC, right? Does he feel like just kind of like a filler? Because again, AJ was kind of just like, yeah, he kept bringing it up, like, yeah, we're feuding still, but the main feud with Judgment Day is Edge and Rey Mysterio.
I think they had to do something, like they had to move quickly. AJ Styles was going in a couple of directions, going towards that, and they had to pay that off. But it's almost like the Rey Mysterio Dominic Mysterio thing's got so hot they can't wait to WrestleMania that they need to try and cool it down a bit. But for me, the minute I saw Rey Mysterio going to SmackDown, I was like, well, Dom's going to turn up on next week. There's nothing stopping Dom turning up. It's almost like Ray's like, is Ray stupid or something? You know what I mean? He can, the Judgment Day can just walk in or whatever. But I just think it's such a good storyline. It's a really weird way to. We've got so many things going on at once with this stable, but I'm enjoying it. I just don't know what's coming next, and it's good to see. I think this is a classic '99 type storyline where you've got loads of different stables, loads of different stuff going on at the same time. But either way, from an in-ring perspective, all of it's going to be really, really good. So I'm really happy with this.
Well, at least the stable has a lot going on. Sometimes these stables are just kind of just there and they don't do much. So at least they have three people to feud with. Now, it just seems like lazy writing to me that they would just be like, oh, Ray is going to go to SmackDown because like the brand thing exists.
Dominic's got to turn up. He has to turn up. I'm not being rude. Like, say you hated somebody just because they're going, I don't know, to like down the road further. You're not going to turn up at the door. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it was a bit silly, but I think given their due, Rey Mysterio coming in, winning that big match on SmackDown, becoming the number one contender in the Intercontinental title, I thought was a big move, but they're going to pay that off. He's going to cost Rey Mysterio the Intercontinental title. They have to do that if they've got any brains. WWE, it's just obvious.
Him versus Gunther might be good. I mean, that
it'll be good,
Giant versus Ray, maybe.
I think he'll push Gunther to the limit, but then I think Dom has to cost him. If this is a match you're going to do, this could be a WrestleMania match. It's just how you keep it going to that point. Unless Ray gets totally disowned, the next step for me is Jerry Springer. It's bringing the family back in. Let's get Aaliyah back. Let's get the mother in, and let's get them blaming Ray. And then this is the point where you have the proper family meltdown, which is where it should be going, really.
Yeah,
Dom's incredible though so far. Absolutely incredible.
We saw it, right? We saw them come back when the Rhea Ripley stuff was going on, but now we got to see them come back when Dominic has betrayed his father, betrayed his family, and everything like that. Tino says he thinks it's leading to Dom versus Ray Mania, like you said, right? They could be just kind of in a holding pattern, trying to get us closer to the Rumble. Maybe one of them eliminates the other one. You have the face off in the ring, and then at least a Mania match. Because I think this match deserves for it to be Mania, but it's a long time.
It's ahead of on time total. Bear in mind, back in the day where we had Kane and Undertaker, Kane came in October.
Yeah.
And that's wait October to March back then, or
about March, at the end of March. It was either the end of March,
So that's quite a long time to wait. And you've obviously been building this since a lot earlier. This has been building probably since August, maybe. So August, September was where obviously the payoff. It's a long time to wait, but I'm looking forward to what they do with it. And I'm just impressed. As I said, Dominic Mysterio has carried this promo. Like the program, him on the mic is incredible. He's got the biggest heat in WWE at the moment besides Roman Reigns. I'm not sure. It's crazy.
I mean, he does. He looks every time he comes off as a real son of a bitch right now. I'll tell you
brilliant. It's so good.
It's good, and it's good for a guy who's so young to get that kind of character that he can play, and it could, I think it's an easier character for him to play, right? Because all you gotta do is just beat up your dad, right, and be a dick to your dad.
He's just brilliant.
So I think
Rey Mysterio is fantastic as well
for him to do it.
Rey Mysterio's like really looks like a sympathy vote a little bit,
Yes.
and I think they work majestic. But if you said
I
to me
think
at the
also
start,
too the fact that his son is bigger than him. I
yeah,
think that
it
plays
was,
well
it was
into it too.
awful.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, if you said to me at the start of the year that I'd be cheering Dominic Mysterio and saying he's the greatest, one of the greatest heels in WWE, I would have thought you need to be locked away somewhere. But it's
Yeah.
insane. Greatest WWE. This is another thing under Triple H which has been done great, and this is the best storyline in WWE at the moment. I think one of them.
I mean, I would agree with you. It's a perfect, it writes itself.
It's a
So
classic. It's an actual era storyline.
Yeah,
It is.
exactly. Yeah, so you don't need to do a ton with it because it writes itself because how it's put together. Eric, who's coming back next week? Bo Dallas, Zack Ryder and wife, or is it Chelsea Green and husband? Yeah, I think it's Zack Ryder and wife. If it was Chelsea Green and husband, it'd be a kind of Mike Maria Kanellis kind of storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
But what do you think about Bo Dallas? Do you think that we're gonna touch on Bray Wyatt later on the show and WWE like interested in other talent out there? But what do you think about Bo Dallas?
He's signed. He's coming back. Definitely. Like
Okay.
he's signed the contract. He's coming back. It depends if he wants to break away from Bray. Like Bray's got a really good. I know we're going to talk about it a bit later, but I'll do a little bit of it now. Bray Wyatt with his contract and this deal he's got. We said obviously weeks ago he was signed. He's managed to get deals for a lot of people to come back. Like he's got Bo Dallas a job back. I think he's also got Vincent a job as well. It looks like, and also you look at Eric Redbeard. Like I think he's coming back as well. To be fair, so I think Bo Dallas itself is just a sensible sign. He never got a fair crack in WWE. I don't know if he could pull the supernatural thing off for me, but look forward to seeing where they go with it. And him coming back is a good move, really. I'd like to see what he can do, really. Getting a fair chance this time. If he's in this stable, he's a bit in his brother's shadow for me. He needs to come and do his own thing, really.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the kind of storyline he gets, character-wise, gimmick, and everything like that. If he's thrown in with his brother, like you said, we'll touch on that a little bit later because there's a lot of rumors out there with what might happen with Bray Wyatt and Survivor Series and what's going on with them. But let's touch quickly. We got a Charlotte Flair update.
So she's scheduled back soon, apparently. That's the update. There isn't a lot to it, but she's scheduled back imminently. I think they're going to probably hold off maybe to Survivor Series if they're sensible. I don't know if she'll come back at Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel seems to be a waste. It's a throwaway return if you want to do it. No idea of direction where she's going to be, like if she's a babyface or heel, but she'll slot in where she's needed, I believe.
Yeah, I think they should wait to Survivor Series as like after a title match she comes in type of thing.
Yeah,
something
like Bayley.
That. Yeah, exactly.
Like Bayley's SummerSlam, basically.
Yeah, so I think they should, do something like that. Bayley SummerSlam style, her coming in, not as a faction, but her by herself. And, they need her back because, they're not going to get Sasha Banks back anytime soon, it seems like. So they need another megastar in the women's division. Do they go the route of her and Ronda? Do they go the route of her on Raw with, whoever the champion is, Bianca or Bayley? We'll see. But I think, hold the Survivor Series if you're going to bring her back. Don't bring her back on a Raw. Don't bring her back on a SmackDown. Give her a nice pop at Survivor Series. I think it may help her out. If she's come back as babyface, maybe they'll cheer her. If a heel, even better. But Charlotte Flair coming back soon. Hopefully they hold her off until Survivor Series. Now, we touched on it a little bit in the last segment. WWE looking to sign new talent.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly, last thing on Charlotte Flair. Sorry to backtrack. Yep. With Charlotte Flair, if she's coming back, the only way she'll be cheered as a babyface is she's against Ronda Rousey. That's the only way I predict.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But going back to new talents, the WWE obviously have got their irons in loads of different people. So at the moment, they are after Chelsea Green, as Eric alluded to earlier, Matt Cardona, Mia Yim, Jonah. They're getting quite a few people. Vincent, Dutch. That they're really aggressively trying to sign people they've released. Like it's almost like Triple H feels bad for releasing people. What I think is really kind of interesting is alongside the Wyatt stable, which we'll probably discuss later, they are just trying to get a lot more females in it. It's almost like they want to boost the female division slightly, which is interesting to see. And you just never know what's coming in. It's almost like this is the way going forward. We're going to keep adding people every single week. So they return. I just hope it doesn't get overinflated. Like the roster doesn't sort of get like AEW where you've got so many people that are all promised big fins. You just don't have the TV time to facilitate that, really.
It's going to be tough to move all those pieces around, especially if they're all main roster guys, if they're not, in NXT or anything like that. But in Mia Yim, I think it might be the most interesting one. We'll hit her and Matt Cardona. So Mia Yim, could it be obviously I know Triple H is a fan of her, but could it be a way to kind of mend the fences between him, the WWE, and Keith Lee? Remember, Keith Lee said he still had an issue with the way his wife was treated over there and how she was released and everything like that. So, maybe that could be an olive branch extending to Keith Lee if Keith Lee is able to get out of his AEW contract as now his wife, making amends with that. That could be interesting. It could be a way for, you could be paying 4D chess, Triple H and Nick Khan to try to get, Keith Lee over from AEW. because now his wife, if she comes back, isn't back in the good graces of the company and everything like that, and all can be forgotten. And Matt Cardona, obviously, he's to me, he's killing it up in the independent scene. He's super creative as the character he has right now. He did recently say that he's not going back to WWE, but he thinks about the WWE title every day, which is interesting enough to say. A little tease right there. You can't believe anything they say online.
No.
In terms of they're not coming back, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, because Saraya said the same thing. She's not going to AEW, and then she shows up the following week in AEW. So you can't really buy anything they're saying. But I would love to see Zack Ryder back, maybe as Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder. That could be something, because Vince McMahon isn't there anymore, that he could come back just as Matt Cardona, right? Because Zach, if McMahon was still there, he would say, "Oh, Zack Ryder's a name because we own that name," or whatever. They could go the other way and be like, "Look, let's try to keep Matt Cardona as Matt Cardona because of the gimmick he's created for himself and the stuff he's done in the independent scene." Chelsea Green coming back, she didn't really get a fair run WWE. She got the injury, she broke her hand or wrist when she first debuted on the main roster, and then they released her after that. She wasn't showcased. That would be fun to see. But hopefully Mia Yim is a way to get Keith Lee back.
Yeah, the ones you said, I think all sensible. With Matt Cardona, for me, it wouldn't surprise me if he comes back and shits on Zack Ryder as a gimmick. Totally, Ali says, highlights how bad it was. Mia Yim deserves a fair chance, as you said. She didn't get a fair run. Chelsea Green didn't. For me, it's absolutely crazy. These people that WWE are targeting ahead of people such as Deonna Purrazzo. That I don't know what the context is with Deonna. Like, that's the one really ahead that should be signed ahead of all of them. But it's just interesting what they do. Let's see how they fit in. But it's going to be stat. WWE's women's roster is already stat, so I don't really know where these people fit in. But it's just exciting to see all these people come back. It's good to see Triple H right the wrong, so to speak. But you can't promise everything to everyone. That's my only concern. Like, I think all these people that are being signed, who we're going to see next? Nia Jax, you know what I mean? It's almost never ending. You know what I mean? There is a point where it will get to the point where you can't keep signing these people. It's a bit like NWA TNA when they used to do the weekly pay-per-views. Who's showing up? But it's a good film. I think all them people are talented. I just look forward to see how they fit in really in WWE if they do get signed.
Yeah, I mean, Deonna Purrazzo, maybe she may not want to come back because of the issue. The way they got rid of her husband, her fiance, or whatever.
Steve Macklin.
The way they got rid of him, right? They, Vince was pissed off at him for a party he had.
Money fixes stuff. I'm not saying it fixes everything, but in that bigger stage, I'm pretty sure. I can't speak for every wrestler, but most wrestlers, when they want to become wrestlers, they always want to get to WWE because WWE is always the biggest. And if you're a wrestling fan, most of the people were wrestling fans, you always want to work for WWE. So for me, I think if the chance comes up to WWE, she's got to do it or go to AEW. Like, Tony Khan should be all over these people, paying whatever they need for the women's roster. He needs all the help he can get really with that. So if he's going to let more people go to WWE, he's crazy.
Yeah. So we'll see who they sign. We'll see who they bring in. Hopefully it's not too much too soon, and we get a little bit, more spacing between everybody coming back. But new information on, they said WWE says no to Rousey's Extreme Rules finish.
Yeah, so Ronda Rousey basically pitched for the finish in the match against Liv Morgan to use thumbtacks. Apparently, they turned it down. Apparently, legally, they cannot use thumbtacks anymore because we can't purposely be seen to injure or cut people. And she was like kind of raging about it. So that would have been a cool finish, much better than the 10 baseball shots. But it's a shame, really, they couldn't do that. I think for me, it's just one of them things where we're not really at this TV-14. We're still PG, and blood and stuff probably isn't belonging there, which is probably why. But what does that say for the rest of the moves they do? Does that mean we're not going to get thumbtacks and stuff in future and like heated feuds and stuff? That's probably the reason why a lot of these Extreme Rules matches don't work as a concept. If you're going to do this again, what's your thoughts?
No, they don't work as a concept because you can't go as far as you want to go or have seen them go previously because you're calling it Extreme Rules. You're using the name from ECW, so if you're not going to kind of get close to it, and that sounds nonsensical to me. The legal terms, the legal reasons as to why they can't use thumbtacks. It sounds just dumb when they say it. I don't know. It's a really ridiculous like statement to say that this is why we can't use it for legal reasons. We can't purposely hurt people. That. It sounds like BS because they're purposely hurting themselves anyways by throwing themselves around the way they do, right? So just because you throw that in there, you still use kendo sticks, you still use chairs, you still use tables, you still use ladders. All that stuff does the same stuff, right? Thumbtacks, all they do is kind of pierce the skin and they sting more, but I don't know. It does. I think it's stupid, and obviously it hurts the
it might just be the corporate answer she gave. Like, let's be fair, Ronda Rousey is the biggest heel in wrestling. Do you know the reason why? She gives spoilers galore on a Twitch. Like, she gave out Bray Wyatt on a Twitch. She gave out loads of spoilers, which if you're WWE, you're going to be raging that she's giving stuff out. Like, someone asked her who the White Rabbit was. She was going, Bray Wyatt 3 weeks ago. Come on, there you go.
Yeah, you got to, kayfabe, right? You got to keep it secret, Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Next topic, we're going to shifting a little bit to AEW. We got Moxley signing a new 5-year deal, but the guy goes to every other promotion on the face of the earth other than like Impact and MLW and WWE. But he goes everywhere else. So I mean, it's kind of an open contract for him, and he's just he's their guy when they need a guy to hold the title to get to the next guy. Transitional champion. That's what they have Moxley been doing since for second, third, fourth reigns or whatever he's at right now. So he's gonna be there another 5 years.
Yeah, so signed the contract to 2027. Cannot believe he was the world champion on a handshake. That's very trusting of Tony Khan. Yeah. Credit to John Moxley for not selling out. I was getting Lex Luger vibes from when he went from WWF to WCW back in the day from that. But apparently Moxley's new duties include mentoring and coaching talent. And it's interesting, WWE were really aggressively putting an offer out to him, but he wouldn't go, which is fair play to his loyalty. For me, he's one that I'm surprised has stayed, in all honesty. I think the fact is AEW are, as we said, struggling massively. Him going to WWE wouldn't have helped. And I guess the main thing was the fact that he wanted to do a New Japan show still, and WWE probably wanted to veto that. Even under Triple H, it was something they didn't want to do. But it's something else for...
maybe his wife was part of the contract. Like, if sign my wife and have her be on TV, and that'll be part of the contract as well. That could have been part of it too. Yeah,
I think the film with it is just a case of what they do with him. I enjoy his work. He's hard hitting. He's obviously got that hard hitting style and stuff. Yeah. But hopefully, it's a good move. It's a good move for AEW. They needed him to sign. At least they can get behind him now. So I don't know if this solidifies his title reign a little bit, makes it a bit more that he'll hold on to the belt. But for me, I think he would have been a great coup for WWE. I think the stuff they could have done with Roman Reigns and him coming back. Talk about hit AEW. When Cody Rhodes went from AEW to WWE, it was a hard hit. Yeah. This is one of the things where Tony Khan needs a bit of luck, and he's got that luck with him signing. So good on Tony Khan, good on AEW. I think it's a great move for you. I think John Moxley in the current WWE would have been a great moment. He would have got lost though. So much stuff is going on WWE at the moment that he would just be another name within a month, I reckon.
Also, probably worried that he would be portrayed like the lunatic fringe again, right?
He wouldn't have been able to do half the stuff like the garbage wresting on Atlantic Pier and all this other stuff. He wouldn't be able to get away with that. So, and he likes to shoot his own promos. So, if we would have gone to TV 14, maybe that may have been a bit more attractive. But Tony Khan must be paying a lot of money to stay as well. But that's another subject, probably.
That's true, and he probably has like a lot of control over his creative and what he can say, what he can do. So there's a lot of probably incentives there. I think also Renee may be part of that too. Package deal. You bring in Renee, she gets to do stuff on TV and stuff like that. So I could see it all going down like that. But next topic, MJF Babyface Turn. I saw it on Dynamite. He had to cut a promo. It was very babyface-ish promo as well that he cut there. I don't know. MJF, he's just, it seems like a Ric Flair thing where Ric Flair turned babyface. It was never really that good. And the heel is the guy everybody wanted to see. And MJF feels like the same person. He came out and said that he thinks he could be an amazing babyface, but obviously why wouldn't he say that? Well, why would he say, I never want to be a babyface, I'm gonna suck at it. I'm not gonna say that, right? It seems like that's where it's headed. And could it be like he cashes in, he wins the championship? Everybody knows that if he wins the title, he's gonna get cheered immensely, right? There's going to be a huge pop when he wins it because he's a guy who should have won it already. And he's like, the heir apparent for AEW. Now, is it the smart move if he wins it to him to have his run as a babyface? I don't think so.
No, for me, I think he's ultimately a tweener. Like, he will play to a babyface. His best work as a heel. AEW can't afford to lose him as a heel. He's the greatest heel they've got. He's still winning the world title. The problem is, even if you have the firm beat him down to get him as a babyface, it's not going to work. I think he needs to stay a heel. He's that good as a heel. Him with the world title as a babyface. Who's his opponent? Or whoever's heel opponent is going to get no heat at all, unless you're going to bring back a CM Punk once this lawsuit and everything else is sorted. But I think for me, you got to keep him as a tweener. If you want to play to the babyface, it's fine. He needs to get rid of the firm as soon as possible, which is maybe what he's doing. That's obviously the firm,
which is interesting because he paid them for double or nothing, but now he has issues with them, right? Like he talked about Stokely Hathaway being his friend for so many years, and all of a sudden now he's like,
it's convenience.
Exactly.
They want to drop that storyline. I think. Well, I've not heard of it, but I think they want to. They just want him to be another stable that are not really important. It seems like not even Big Kaz has been on TV for a while. He seems to have disappeared, if you notice, and stuff like that. I think for me, it's just one of the things. MJF, keep him as a heel. He's the greatest heel in wrestling, and his best work, if he's going to go to WWE in 2024, is to be a heel going out. Well, I'm not saying AEW want to help WWE, but MJF's been a babyface. I'm not going, I'm staying, all this lot. Doesn't ring well for me. MJF with the world title going, doing a CM Punk from back in the day saying, I'm going to leave, I'm taking the title with me, is something they need to do if they want to make money. Even if he has signed a contract, this is what you should be doing. Playing it out. Playing it out. It's money.
Yeah, I mean, it's money. That's the end all be all right there, especially in pro wrestling. We'll see what happens. We'll see when he wins the title. We'll see if he's babyface or not, and we'll see if it actually works out in his favor and AEW's favor. But wrapping up the show, we're gonna head to the last topic here, and it's just Bray Wyatt. So I'm hearing so many rumors of him having the Wyatt Six, a group. That's why they showed all those guys and girls inside those costumes when he debuted at Extreme Rules. We saw him in a bit of different style and his promo on Friday Night SmackDown. Very different, very unexpected. Nobody thought you were going to get that out of him and his promo on Friday Night SmackDown. Also, there's rumors that the Bloodline could be taking on the Wyatt and his faction at Survivor Series inside of War Games, which they have very, very little time to build to. But if that's the choice, if that's the plan, I don't know if that's the best deal, because you can't really have Bray Wyatt's faction lose in their first kind of outing if that's the case to happen at Survivor Series. And you have a little time to build out the faction itself going forward. But what do you got on the Jonesy?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So let's break it down. So let's break it down for the promo on SmackDown. Incredible promo from Wyndham. It was absolutely incredible. I love the new character with the mask. We'll give you his name now. His name's Uncle Howdy. That's what he's known as. That's his alter ego, so to speak. For me, I really kind of enjoyed it. And I think this is just fantastic. There's so many layers to this still. What I kind of liked about it was just how Bray's there sort of selling his soul, giving you his heart, all this other stuff. Really, I think what's going to come out, he wasn't talking about the fans. He's talking about sort of basically his puppets more than the fans. I think it's been made to look like he's thanking the fans for saving his life when it isn't. He's thanking somebody else. And with Uncle Howdy, I like it. I'm slightly concerned with Uncle Howdy that he's going to be a bit like the Fiend. He's going to be a comedy character a little bit. And I think the thing with it that's kind of makes me question a little bit is obviously at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Bray's in Uncle Howdy's mask, then he's walking out. Why take the mask off? You know what I mean? I know everyone had to see Bray there, but the way this storyline's gone in the first 2 weeks, it would be much better now if we didn't know who's under Uncle Howdy's mask. Even if you think it's Bray, you can still pay that off down the line. But in terms of the Wyatt Six, yeah, apparently that is going to happen. The six wrestlers they're looking at are changing, so there's nobody that's set as such. But they really want to get a female in the group, it seems, which is something. So for me, that can be one or two people. Can either Liv Morgan, which is an obvious one, or you could do Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross needs it far more. Yes. And it looks like they've signed Vincent and Dutch. Vincent, for me, is fantastic. He was in The Righteous and Ring of Honor. I don't know if you've seen his promos, absolutely incredible. He is really, really hard hitting with the promos. And I'm just looking forward to see where they do this. In terms of the bloodline and stuff like that, if you could do War Games, it's fine. Just don't be Roman Reigns be the one getting pinned. If Roman Reigns is pinning Bray Wyatt, then what's the point of this at the point? If you're using this to get Sammy out the group, which is what they may do, it's just very, very soon. Remember weeks ago, I did say to you about the pitch of the Wyatts versus the Bloodline in War Games, and they were looking at sort of carrying across them type of people. I'm hoping whoever's behind it, they're going to have the right people, not just people like Grayson Waller that have been thrown in there with no thought.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I hope it's... They have to be very, very careful on who they choose and who they pick to be part of it and how they introduce each person. There's an interesting comment right here from West Coast Popcast. Thank you for joining us on top of that, West Coast Pop, my guys, but from West Coast Pop. What would work better for the Wyatt Six, a stable or multiple personalities? Multiple personalities would show the immense acting range of Bray Wyatt if that was the case, because that's a lot of personalities to play off of. It'd be very... Split, the movie Split, like that kind of style. And you know, if he's able to pull that off, hats off to him. I just don't know if you could do it on a wrestling show, but I think it's more of a stable. Yeah,
I think it's got to be a stable. The thing with the stable is you're getting other people over, and it's just how they sort of want to project that and what they do with this. I think a crucial thing, there's some nice tweaks, like everything that involved Liv Morgan and Bray Wyatt this past week on SmackDown. Then you saw there's a little sort of circle on the corner of the screen, and they've just got really, really nice little tweaks here. But I'm just don't want this Uncle Howdy to be comedic. I think it's one of the things where if he's barking out orders, say Bray's in a match, he said, I'm not going to do something heelish. Next thing you've got this thing on the screen that is Bray only saying, do this. It can be a bit comedic. We had that a bit campy with The Fiend and like Alexa Bliss before. I'm willing to see where they go with this. It is exciting, don't get me wrong, but everything I've heard is positive. Everything I've heard is they've got a long-term storyline worked out, apparently to WrestleMania. And this is going to be Retribution, but done right. So I think members will be revealed slowly. And I think everybody coming out with this will have a benefit. You know what I mean? I don't think it will just be people unmasked for no reason. I think it'll be gripping. But it's just down to what they do this. I just hope there's consistency. And I don't know how long we will do these slow teasers. Like, we've done quite a few teasers already. I know he's only been back a few weeks, but it's how they pay that off and what they do. Obviously, they did also trademark this week Uncle Harper, which was a nice tribute. That's
Yep.
quite nice. I don't know how you're going to pay that off as well, but it's very, very dark, and I'm just looking forward to see what they do with it. I really hope that they have got the right people, as we said, cast, and I really hope that they can put Bray in the right feud. I'm not really too sure what you're doing. In terms of a White Rabbit, that's obviously been dropped at the moment. I think that will come back, and I think the White Rabbit's really somebody that he's targeting rather than sort of himself.
Yeah, I liked your suggestion as well as the fact that he was not. It seemed like he was thanking the fans, but he actually wasn't. Right? Like I hope.
I don't think he.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was. It's got to do that. Like it was a great promo. Don't get me wrong, but all this I'm crying in the ring. It doesn't follow on from what we saw at the end of Extreme Rules. Well, yes, he was Uncle Howdy for part of it, but it's really, really kind of complex. And it is fantastic to see. Like I think they've done a great job so far. Rob Fee being hired as the creative director is really adding this, and Wyatt having his own sort of creative direction.
I heard that guy got a lot of heat backstage though.
It's all I don't know. I don't think he did. I think it's just you got to give him his due. Like the presentation stuff so far has been really, really good, and everybody's waiting to see what Bray says. Like all week, people are waiting to see what Bray says. It's just going to be keep us guessing and stuff like that. But I don't know how you do a War Games match this soon, unless you're going to reveal everybody soon, and it's got to make sense. Like Liv Morgan going straight to a heel and stuff like that. Pay off the backstory. You're going to have to explain what's happened. She's only lost one match to Ronda Rousey. She was winning on a streak before that. How are you going to explain that off as something twisted? You know what I mean? Something gone wrong.
Yeah.
But
the one match doesn't warrant the change.
Unless it's the beating she took or something. But then it looks like PTSD to me. That's what it kind of looks like, to be honest.
If you would have thumbtacks, it would have made more sense. If she would have thrown through a bunch of thumbtacks, and it would have made much more sense for her to break like that.
What was your kind of take on the promo then? Did you enjoy it on SmackDown, or do you think it keeps you wanting more, doesn't it? That's what I felt.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you guessing, keeps you wanting more. It keeps you on your heels, kind of. It keeps you intrigued, right? Because that's the last thing you were expecting him to do, right? You weren't expecting him to come out like that and say what he said and get emotional and stuff like that. Yeah, it was well done. Now it's just like the work starts after that. It's like, how are you going to pay this off, and where's it going to go? Is there going to be a major twist in it? Stuff like that.
Is it just me, or did Bray sort of act like a small child? I almost got the impression he was acting like a child, and then he's waiting for almost like speaking like somebody didn't hear him, like a parent or something. And then when Uncle Howdy comes on the screen, it's obviously black and fear. It's almost like he's scared of Uncle Howdy, but Uncle Howdy is him. It's going to be really, really weird how they pay that off. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do here. But Wyatt 6, look for a stable. That's what we say here this week. Definitely, they've got to do a stable. I think naming it Wyatt 6.
Yeah, I mean, but multiple personalities. If they were able to pull that off, and he was able to pull that off, I mean, shout out to him. That would be tremendous.
That would be incredible. But
I just don't think he could do it.
Yeah, the matches, right? Bray.
Exactly,
and he pins himself. I don't know.
Yeah. West Coast Podcast. Not a huge fan of the name Uncle Howdy. Sounds like somebody that can't live near elementary schools. It does. It ain't gonna lie.
It sounds a bit camp counselor. I've got to admit, I wasn't a fan of that.
He's handing out candy to kids type thing. Yeah.
It's one of the things where I don't know how Howdy fits with all this other stuff they've got going on, but we'll see. I think if Bray's taking advice from a mask, it's going to be a bit like the Fiend, but there's obviously got to be a point. There's a reason he's come back, and let's just see kind of what they do with it. I think him as far away from the world title is what I'd like to see. If he coming back and he's beating Roman Reigns, then wants to beat Roman Reigns in 2 years, it'll get him over, but it's not the time. I don't know where you would go next. What your next chapter is after that.
That's why I think that Survivor Series match might be the worst idea if they go down that road. I don't think it's just not a good idea.
What about if they win? If they do this and then I don't know, say it's Sammy that gets pinned, do you justify that?
No, because I mean, first off, there's no warrant for them to be. I mean, because Survivor, the War Game is supposed to be like two factions that absolutely hate each other and have like a blood feud.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You can't create that fast, especially with the Bloodline. They're already doing their stuff. He's got Logan Paul. They're doing their own thing there on the side, on a different show. And it's just like if you just put them together as like, okay, we have this faction is brand versus brand, then it completely kills the mystique of the Wyatt 6 or whatever group name he has. And then if he wins, what? Yeah, and if Wyatt wins, his team wins, what comes out of it? I mean, honestly, like, what do you really get out of it in terms of storyline progression into the next thing, or what you're gonna do with it, and how do you build off of it? To me, it's just like, I think it's a rumor. I don't think they're gonna go down that road. But that's the rumor I've been hearing. Wyatt 6 versus the Bloodline. I think it would be a terrible idea.
I think it would be terrible. What the other way of doing it as well is you've got 5 or 6 weeks now to build up this War Games match. You get obviously the Bloodline against somebody else. It could be whoever. And then you get the debut of the Wyatt 6 as a stable coming in at the end, which is something to do. But that then leads to a program where you've got many months then until January to keep that building. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what they do with it. And I think it's refreshing to have this discussion. One last thing as well on Wyatt. I don't know if you saw this, you probably did. Batman, the Court of Owls, on SmackDown in the vignettes, they were wearing a Court of Owls mask. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah.
And there's somebody with brown hair. To me, it looks like Nikki Cross, but people are saying it's Bo Dallas. I'm liking it. I'm liking the mystery and all this lot, but let's hope it continues and let's see where they go with it. I'm looking forward to see what they do.
Yeah, I wonder if they get in trouble for using that mask because I guess they have a copyright.
It does look like it. It looks like
it does look a lot. It looks a lot like it. Yeah. But I mean, we'll see. Like I said, there's so many things that can happen, and I do like the way they're playing it. But obviously we gotta wait till Friday now to see again what's gonna happen next. Right? He's not showing up on Monday Night Raw. Obviously, for multiple reasons, they have Lesnar now over there. The Judgment Day is kind of like a evil group as well, so they don't want to have two groups like that on the same show. And give more time to Bray on SmackDown. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to see that Bray ever again. Or not for a while. I think Bray will go missing now, and it'll just be these vignettes. I think that Bray is the last time we're seeing him, and that's a transition. Then I think they will say Uncle Howdy will somehow justify something and say like I'm not here or whatever else, and then that will continue. But look for Bray to sort of come back, and if they are going to go back to pre-or Bray Wyatt, that's going to take a year or a while. I don't think you can see that babyface Bray for a while. To keep with everything, I don't know how the Uncle Howdy as a heel works with babyface Bray. It doesn't really work for me, in all honesty.
That is true. But again, they're gonna continue with the Easter egg stuff, hopefully, because that stuff is fun. And then hopefully it's a slow burn. I know it's tough to do nowadays, but hopefully it's a slow burn and we slowly get revealed how this all was going to play out. That's why I don't think they have enough time from now to Survivor Series to play it out correctly, how that whole thing's going to work, unless that's not even the finished product if they deal with it. Like if they go to Survivor Series with what they have or whatever they come up with, hopefully it's not the finished product. Hopefully it still evolves after that because, again, they don't have that much time between now and Survivor Series to warrant that match and have it actually work.
I think if you're doing that match to the Survivor Series, like I think for me, logically, you want the storyline to continue. You want this stable to come out looking $1 million. There's nobody in the Bloodline I can generally buy into seeing them turn on the Bloodline to join the stable. Not even a Sami Zayn. Him turning and joining this stable would be an absolute disaster, even though he's talented enough to do it. And you've got nobody in the Bloodline that's going to do that either. So for me, I think it's a stupid feud. I hope it doesn't happen. And this is something, if you want to do it, you need to build it for 6 or 7 months, really. And you need to have a clear path of how you're going to protect this stable and also protect the Bloodline. Once you get title belts, tag team titles, and world titles involved, it can get a bit messy and tricky.
It's going to be a bit messy if they go down this road again. I don't think they will. I think that, I think that's just a rumor out there. Hopefully they don't. But with that being said, thank you for everybody for joining us. Jonesy, once again, for joining me again for the latest episode of the Rasslin Report. A lot of interesting things going on in professional wrestling. Hopefully it continues. Hopefully we get more tidbits on Bray Wyatt going through this week and maybe another debut, somebody coming back. Thank you for everybody that joined us in the chat. We appreciate everybody for the support, and we'll catch you guys next week on another edition of the Rasslin Report. On any final words, Jonesy?
No, I hope everyone has a good week. I hope everyone enjoys the wrestling, and thank you all for watching.
Perfect. Thank you guys. Catch you guys in the next one.